Last time, we looked at the 1K truck, manufacturer that engineered its truck differently from everyone else. Honda with the Actis midship engine. Today we're looking at a manufacturer that went even further. Japanese enthusiasts didn't call this one the Ferrari of the farm roads. They called it the Porsche of the farm roads. And unlike Honda, this company didn't just discontinue one model. They quit building key cars of any kind forever. That company is Subaru, and the truck is the Sambar. To understand why the Sambar earned that nickname, you have to understand Subaru's very first K car. In 1958, Subaru released the Subaru 360, and even at that tiny scale, Subaru refused to cut corners. It used a full monocoque, body construction, and four-wheel independent suspension, both unheard of in a Japanese K car at the time. Subaru ran frontal, rear, and rollover crash tests on the 360 decades before anyone required it. From day one, Subaru treated K cars as real engineering projects, not cheap boxes on wheels. The Sambar itself first went on sale in 1961, and over the following 5 decades, it went through 6 full generations, each one keeping the same core formula rear engine, rear-wheel drive, and a low, flat cargo bed. That's a remarkably long run of consistency for a Japanese K truck. While rivals like the Suzuki Carry and Daihatsu Hijets cycled through very different body styles and engine placements. Generation after generation, the Sambar's engineers kept returning to the same layout for over 50 years, refining it rather than reinventing it, right up until the very last truck rolled off the line. The Sambar carried Subaru's founding philosophy forward, and its defining feature was that layout. Unlike the Actis midship engine mounted beneath the truck bed or the front engine layout, you'll find on a Suzuki Carry or Daihatsu Hijet, the Sambar used a true rear-engine, rear-wheel drive layout RR, the same basic configuration as a classic Porsche 911. That's not a loose comparison. It's the actual reason. Japanese fans started calling it the Porsche of the farm roads. Subaru also gave the Sambar four-wheel drive earlier than most of its rivals, and a notably low cargo bed for easier loading. Here's a detail almost nobody outside Japan knows, Akabu. Japan's network of independent door-to-door courier drivers ran their Sambar's hard-high mileage, heavy loads every single day. Subaru built a special reinforced durability engine, specifically for these commercial customers. It wasn't a badge or a sticker package. It was a genuinely tougher engine built because Subaru's own courier. Customers demanded a truck that could survive the abuse of daily delivery work. I can speak to this one from direct experience, too. My company still uses an original pre-2012 Subaru-built Sambar for a very specific job. Sometimes we need to move a car that won't start a dead battery, a broken engine, whatever the reason. Normally, you'd load it straight onto a flatbed truck using a chain. But parking spaces in Japan are often too tight for the flatbed to back all the way up to the car. So first, someone sits in the dead car and steers it, while the Sambar tows it just a short distance, enough to reach a spot where the flatbed's chain can finally hook on. That's the Sambar's job bridge, that short gap. And for that kind of towing, the old Sambar still beats anything newer we own. My understanding is that it comes down to the rear engine layout, with the engine sitting right over the rear wheels. The drive wheels stay planted even while pulling something heavy. I can't say for certain whether that's the whole reason, or whether the tow hook design matters too. But whatever the exact cause decades later, this is still the truck we reach for. If you watched our last video, you'll remember that Suzuki and Daihatsu both dropped their turbocharged key truck engines around the year 2000, mainly because demand was low and naturally aspirated. Engines were catching up in performance. Subaru took a different path, right through the 6th and final generation, which ran all the way to 2012. Subaru kept offering a forced induction engine on the Sambar, except it used a supercharger instead of a turbo, making around 58 horsepower against the standard engine's naturally aspirated output. While every other manufacturer in the segment had walked away from forced induction, Subaru kept building it. One more example of Subaru doing things its own way, right up to the end. Subaru's engineering philosophy wasn't limited to the Sambar. Around the same era, Subaru built a K car called the R1, a 2-door city car that, on paper, made no financial sense. Subaru gave it a lightweight resin, tailgate borrowed straight from the original. 360's design philosophy, sound insulation, layered as thick as what you'd find on a full-size Impreza Alcantara trim inside the cabin, liquid-filled engine mounts for smoothness, and a chassis, stiff enough to handle 15-inch high-grip Potenza tires. Every one of these a feature you'd expect on a proper sports coupe, not a K-car. Some engineers inside the company reportedly joked that a car, this expensive to build, selling at key car prices, was going to lose money, no matter how well it's sold. That same instinct, build it right, whatever the segment, ran through the entire Subaru K-car lineup, the Sambar included. There was also a shift happening in the K-car market itself that made Subaru's approach harder to sustain. In 2003, Daihatsu released the first-generation Tanto, and it created an entirely new category, the super tall wagon, built around maximizing interior space and ease of use, rather than handling or engineering finesse. Japanese key car buyers responded immediately. Within a few years, tall wagons dominated the segment, and most buyers stopped caring about the kind of chassis rigidity, suspension, sophistication, or drivetrain layout that Subaru had spent decades refining. A beautifully engineered RR layout truck, or a hand-finished city car. Like the R1 wasn't what the market wanted anymore. Buyers wanted space, and they wanted it cheap. So if the engineering was this serious, why did Subaru walk away? The real answer has less to do with the Sambar itself, and more to do with what was happening at the top of the company. Subaru's parent company at the time, Fuji Heavy Industries, was majority owned by General Motors. In the mid-2000s, GM fell into serious financial trouble. Trouble serious enough that GM sold off its stake in Fuji Heavy Industries entirely. Toyota stepped in with a new capital partnership, and as part of reorganizing the group, Toyota made a strategic call. Daihatsu would specialize in K-cars across the whole group, and Subaru would concentrate its resources on its boxer engine cars instead. There was a practical reason behind that decision, too. Both Subaru's K-car engines and its boxer engines were built on aging designs and modernizing. Either one would require enormous cost. For a company the size of Fuji Heavy Industries, developing both platforms at once was no longer realistic. Something had to give. On April 10, 2008, Subaru announced it would withdraw from developing its own key cars, the final generation of the Sambar. The sixth generation kept rolling off the line for a few more years, until production actually ended in February 2012. That factory didn't sit empty afterward. It was retooled to build the Toyota-Subaru joint sports car project, the car later known as the BRZ, along with the next-generation Impreza. In a strange way, the last genuine Subaru Sambar and the first genuine Subaru Toyota sports car shared the exact same production line. The Sambar name didn't disappear completely. Subaru kept selling a vehicle called the Sambar, but from that point on, it was simply a rebadged Daihatsu Hijets. Subaru's badge on Daihatsu's engineering with none of the RR layout, none of the low cargo floor, none of the reinforced Akabu engine that had defined the original. Longtime commercial users noticed immediately. Word spread among Akabu drivers that the new badge-engineered version wouldn't hold up the same way. The original had rumors that it wouldn't last 200,000 kilometers, the way the real Sambar did. Original, genuine Subaru built. Sambars started trading at a premium almost overnight, and that premium has only grown since clean, low mileage. Supercharger models from the final years now regularly sell for more than their original new car price. If you're looking at a used Sambar and trying to tell which era you're getting, the production date is really all you need. Anything built through the end of production in February 2012 is a true rear-engine Subaru original. Anything wearing a Sambar badge after that is mechanically a Daihatsu Hijets underneath. Same engine, same front-engine layout, same everything as the regular Hijets, just with different trim and a different name on the back. Was walking away the right call? By the numbers, yes. Redirecting that engineering budget toward global models and Subaru's eyesight safety technology became a major part of the company's later success. But ask any longtime Subaru fan, and you'll still hear the same quiet hope that someday Subaru builds a K car of its own again. If you're researching a key truck import today, the Sambar is worth knowing for exactly this reason. Any Sambar built before 2012 is a genuine Subaru engineering product. RR layout, low bed, the real thing. Anything after that is a Daihatsu Hijets wearing a different badge. Same story we've now seen twice. Honda walked away from one platform. Subaru walked away from an entire category. Understanding which trucks are the last of their kind isn't just trivia. It's often the difference between an ordinary key truck and one that Japan will never build again.